Before this video actually gets started, I just want to throw out a quick disclaimer real quick and say that I do not condone or encourage any form of harassment towards the people presented in this video. Got it? Okay. Because if you have any complaints, take it to the complaints department. So we're talking about RWBY again 3 times in a row, and before you ask, no, I haven't been living under a rock. I've just been debating on whether or not I should actually make this video, but fuck it, we're already here. And the reason I say this is because Viz Media actually bought the IP to RWBY way back in July, which I'm not necessarily saying it's considered a good or a bad thing, considering I am completely unfamiliar with any Viz Media projects, really. But having said that, what does this mean for RWBY's future? Well, I can honestly guarantee you that it's really nothing to get excited over, considering that, well, we don't really know what Viz Media plans to do with RWBY. But hey, if they continue carrying forward, they continue carrying it forward. That's all I can really say. And before you guys say I'm being vague, let me remind you that we have this clip, which hopefully won't get me copyrighted, but I'll play it in black and white just in case.
Talking with Viz, they're also very excited about this. They obviously care about where the show is now, but they also care about where it came from, and they want to make sure that we can continue this story.
And it's that level of vagueness that obviously raises more questions than answers, but coming from a fan base that's been waiting 7 years for a major update, I can't say I blame them anymore. And no, Valve, fixing the bot crisis doesn't count. Though to be fair, I guess it's probably for the best, since, let's face it, rushing an update is basically pulling a Star Wars Outlaws. I'm just going to say that right now. You're basically pulling a Star Wars Outlaws right there by rushing an update. Now at this point, we should ask ourselves, what's next? What should we do from here? Well, I'll tell you what we shouldn't do. We shouldn't advocate the silencing of negative critiques just because they don't suit your opinion, since all it does is encourage toxic positivity. And I'm no Alex Jones conspiracy theorist, but when you really stop to think about it, Rooster Teeth could have had that same mindset back when they were still using RWBY as a cash grab. Memes aside, a lot of people have criticized RWBY for really not being in the best state after Volume 3 wrapped up, both from a storytelling perspective and an animation perspective, and a lot of RWBY fanatics seem to be batshit crazy because they refuse to accept that fact. And yes, I said fanatics, not fans. There's a difference between the two, which I'll display on screen right now. Also, I understand RWBY fanatics aren't the first type of people to do this, but they're definitely one of the most relevant, let's put it, right next to My Hero Academia fanatics. Now, with all that being said, what should we actually do aside from twiddle our thumbs and hope for the best? Well, for those who don't know, there was actually a campaign on Twitter called #SaveRWBY, which was basically dedicated to reviving the show. I mean, what else do you want me to say? And truth be told, it worked. Kind of. Let me explain. It was reported that any intellectual property that Rooster Teeth previously owned would be auctioned off, RWBY's included. And based on what I've already said in this video, you can probably tell where this is going. However, this is where one of the unanswered questions come to mind. How long will RWBY continue to live on now that it's essentially brought back from the dead? I ask this because the TF2 community made a similar campaign, #SaveTF2, you guys remember that a couple years ago? Yeah, these were the results. Absolutely nothing changed. Fast forward a couple years later though, and we actually get a #FixTF2 campaign. Same goal, different methods in mind. Where am I going with this? Well, #FixRWBY, of course, because I'm honestly worried that the writers might start going back to catering towards RWBY fanatics rather than genuine fans of the show. Will #FixRWBY actually work? On paper, maybe. In practice, well, results may vary depending on who you ask. I'm Mr. Titan, and I'll be off to the dentist if anyone needs me. After all, after watching volumes 5 through 9, nothing hurts anymore. Hey, guess what? Guess what? Can't touch. I'm an asshole.